Lee Hannah looked up at the sky from her small balcony in New Seoul. The evening stars were out, but they shared the sky with the huge Drazel ships that had been there for 50 years now. Hannah was 17, born long after the aliens first came to Earth. She had never known a world without them. Hannah. Dinner is ready, her mother called from inside their apartment. Hannah sighed and took one last look at the ships. One day, she would be up there among the stars. Not just visiting, but studying, working, and showing everyone what humans could do. At dinner, Hannah's parents talked about their day at the medical center. Both were doctors who worked with Drazel technology. The aliens had brought amazing medicine that could cure many human diseases. The new Drazel doctor barely looked at me all day, her father said, shaking his head. They still think we're just their helpers. Hannah pushed her food around on her plate. Did you see the news about the Interstellar Academy? They're opening spots for humans again. Her parents went quiet. Her mother put down her chopsticks. Hannah, we've talked about this. 5 humans have made it in before, Hannah said. I could be the 6th. And how many came back to actually work on Earth? Her father asked. They just want to show off that they let a few humans in. It's all for show. Hannah didn't argue. Her parents didn't understand her dreams. After dinner, she went to her room and pulled out her tablet. The Interstellar Academy of Sciences was the best school in the Drazel Confederation. Most students were Drazel or from other advanced alien species. Humans were still seen as the junior species, smart enough to learn, but not smart enough to lead. The application form glowed on her screen. This year was special. The Academy was sending a famous young Drazel scientist to help choose the new students. His name was Taz, and he was only 20 in Earth years, but already famous for his brilliant mind. Humans called him the Prodigy. Hannah had read all his papers on quantum physics. She didn't understand everything, but she understood enough to know he was changing how the universe worked. And now he would help pick the new Academy students. Her finger hovered over the apply button. Her parents would be upset. Her friends would think she was crazy. The tests would be nearly impossible. And even if she got in, she would face years of aliens looking down on her. But she had to try. She hit the button. 3 weeks later, Hannah sat in a huge hall with 200 other humans. All were taking Taz's special test for Academy admission. The questions were unlike anything she had seen before. Many students around her looked lost or confused. But Hannah saw patterns in the problems. Not the obvious ones that the questions pointed to, but deeper ones. Each question was like a puzzle box with hidden sides. She worked quickly, her mind jumping between ideas. When the test ended, most students looked defeated. Hannah felt tired but hopeful. She had answered every question. They say the Drazel designed this test so no human could pass, said a boy next to her. They just want to prove we're not ready. Hannah shrugged. Then I guess someone needs to surprise them. 1 week later, her tablet lit up with a message. Hannah held her breath as she opened it. Congratulations, Lee Hannah. You have been selected for the Interstellar Academy of Sciences Special Admission Program. She stared at the screen, her heart racing. Only 3 names were on the list of humans accepted. Hers was at the top. The message continued. Selected students will meet Academy Representative Taze at the Space Elevator Terminal tomorrow at 900 hours for the official welcome ceremony. Hannah looked up at the stars through her window. Tomorrow, she would meet the famous Drazel Prodigy. Tomorrow, her real challenge would begin. The Space Elevator Terminal was the tallest building in New Seoul. Hannah stood in its shadow, her small bag clutched tightly. Her parents had not come to see her off. They were still upset about her choice. You must be Lee Hannah, said a voice behind her. She turned to see a tall boy with dark hair. He looked nervous but excited. Yes, she said. And you are? Kim Dojin, he replied with a small bow. I'm one of the 3 humans chosen. I saw your name at the top of the list. The 3rd human, a girl named Park Ju-woo, joined them soon after. They stood together, 3 humans among dozens of aliens entering the terminal. Most were Drazel, tall, elegant beings with silver-blue skin and large eyes that seemed to take in everything at once. Inside, they were led to a large room with a view of the city. A hush fell over the crowd as a Drazel official stepped forward. "Selected students, we welcome you to the first stage of your academy journey," the official said. "And now, I present to you Taze, the youngest member of the Drazel Science Council, and your special advisor." A young Drazel walked onto the stage. He was shorter than most of his kind, closer to human height. His silver-blue skin had a soft glow, and his movements were smooth and precise. But it was his eyes that caught Hannah's attention. They were sharp and calculating, taking in the room with a single glance. "I designed the selection test myself," Taze said. His voice was clear and cold. "It was made to find the best minds in the Confederation, those who can see beyond the obvious." His eyes swept over the crowd and paused briefly on the 3 humans. Some results were unexpected. Hannah felt her face grow hot. She knew what he meant. He hadn't expected any humans to pass. "The next phase begins now," Taze continued. "You will all solve a series of problems, not just with your minds, but with your hands as well. Theory must meet practice." Assistants handed out small devices to each student. Hannah turned the strange cube in her hands. It had no buttons or screens, just smooth surfaces that changed color when touched. "You have 1 hour," Taze said. "Begin." Hannah stared at the cube. Nothing happened at first. Then she noticed that when her fingers pressed certain spots, patterns appeared briefly. She tried to follow them, but they vanished too quickly. Around her, the Drazel students were working fast. Their long fingers danced across their cubes, and complex patterns formed in the air above them. "This is impossible," Dojin whispered next to her. "The cube is made for Drazel hands." Hannah took a deep breath. Instead of trying to copy the Drazel students, she closed her eyes and felt the cube. There was a rhythm to how it responded to touch. She began to tap it gently, listening to the soft sounds it made. The patterns became clearer. They weren't just random. They were like a language. Hannah's fingers moved faster, finding the right spots. Soon, a small model of a star system appeared above her cube. When the hour ended, Taze walked among the students. Most had created similar star systems. When he reached the humans, he paused. Juhu had managed to create a small, unstable pattern. Dojin had done a bit better, with a partial system. But when Taze saw Hannah's complete star system, his eyes narrowed. "Interesting," he said coldly. "You've created a model of the Drazel home system. How did you know what it looked like?" "I didn't," Hannah said. "I just followed the patterns." Taze looked at her for a long moment. "The cube shows what's in your mind. Most students created what they knew, their home systems." He pointed to her model. "This suggests you have a different way of thinking." He turned to address all the students. "The final selection is complete. All of you have passed this stage. Tomorrow, we leave for the academy." As the crowd began to disperse, Taze approached Hannah again. "You should know," he said quietly, "that I consider your success statistical noise. No human has ever truly competed at the academy level." Hannah met his gaze steadily. "Then I'll have to be a very loud noise." Something flashed in Taze's eyes, surprise, perhaps, or challenge. Without another word, he walked away. Dojin came to stand beside her. "I think you just made an enemy." "Or a challenge," Hannah replied, watching Taz leave. "Either way, we're going to the academy." Hannah pressed her face to the window as the shuttle approached the academy. It was not a building but a small moon, carved and shaped into a perfect sphere. Lights dotted its surface like stars, and ships of all sizes moved around it. "It's beautiful," Dojin said beside her. Juhu sat across from them, too nervous to speak. The shuttle docked smoothly. When the doors opened, they stepped into a huge hall with a clear ceiling that showed the stars. Students from a dozen alien species walked in groups, talking in different languages. The Drazel were easy to spot with their blue-silver skin, but there were many others Hannah had never seen before. A tall Drazel woman approached the three humans. "I am Professor Neri, your guide. Welcome to the Interstellar Academy of Sciences." Her voice was warmer than Taze's had been. "You three are making history. We haven't had human students in 5 years." She led them through halls filled with strange machines and rooms where students worked on projects Hannah couldn't even understand. Everything seemed to glow or float or move in ways that defied Earth physics. "You will share living quarters," Neri said, stopping at a door. "Classes begin tomorrow. Your schedules are in your room units." Their room was small but comfortable, with 3 beds and desks that seemed to grow from the walls. Large windows looked out into space, and the Earth was visible as a small blue dot in the distance. "I can't believe we're really here," Ju said, finally finding her voice. Later that evening, they visited the dining hall. The food was served in small floating bowls that hovered at mouth level. Hannah reached for one, but it darted away from her hand. "You have to think about what you want," the voice said. A student with red scales and 4 arms sat down next to them. "The bowls respond to brain patterns. I'm Lox from Vega System. You're the new humans, right?" They nodded. "Just think clearly about the food you want," Lox said. "It helps if you close your eyes." Hannah tried. She closed her eyes and pictured a simple meal. When she opened them, a bowl had moved closer. It contained something that looked almost like rice and vegetables. "Thanks," she said to Lox. "Is everything here controlled by thoughts?" "Most things," Lox replied. "The Drazel believe technology should respond to mind, not body. Makes it hard for species with different brain patterns." Halfway through their meal, a hush fell over the hall. Taze had entered with a group of Drazel students. They sat at a table far from the others. "That's the elite circle," Lox whispered. "Top students who work directly with the Science Council. No one from outside the main Drazel worlds has ever joined." Hannah watched Taz. He was talking to his group, not looking around. But then, as if feeling her gaze, he turned and looked directly at her. Their eyes met for a moment before he turned away. The next morning, classes began. Hannah's first class was theoretical physics with Professor Sorn, a tall Drazel with skin so pale it was almost white. "Today we discuss quantum dimensional theory," Sorn said. "Who can explain the 5th postulate of Wren's theorem?" Hands went up around the room, all Drazel. Sorn pointed to one, who gave a perfect answer. Hannah listened carefully, taking notes. The concepts were beyond Earth science, but she could follow the logic. Then Sorn put a complex equation on the screen. "Solve this within the constraints of the Taz principle." Taz principle. Hannah had never heard of it. She looked around and saw other students already working. Even Dojin looked lost. Hannah studied the equation. It had to be named after the Taz she knew. What would he think was important? She remembered his papers, how he always looked for patterns others missed. She began to work, using what she knew and guessing what she didn't. When Sorn called time, only a few students had finished. To her surprise, Hannah was one of them. Sorn checked the answers. Only 3 correct solutions. Impressive. He looked at Hannah. "Especially from you, human. Perhaps there is hope for your species yet." After class, a Drazel student bumped into Hannah, knocking her tablet to the floor. "Sorry," he said, not sounding sorry at all. "Didn't see you down there." Hannah picked up her tablet. The screen showed her next class, Advanced Practical Applications with Professor Taze. Her heart sank. Then she straightened her shoulders. If Taze wanted to make things difficult for her, she would just have to work harder. Taze's classroom was different from the others. Instead of desks, there were floating platforms where students stood to work. Hannah found an empty one at the back of the room. "Advanced Practical Applications is not just about theory," Taze said as he entered. His voice was cool and clear. "It is about making theory real. Today, you will each build a small quantum field generator." With a wave of his hand, tools and parts appeared on each platform. Hannah looked at them with confusion. Nothing looked familiar. "Begin," Taze said. The Drazel students moved quickly, their long fingers working with the strange parts. Hannah picked up what looked like a power source. It hummed in her hand. "Having trouble, human?" Taze asked, suddenly beside her platform. "Perhaps this class is too advanced for you." Hannah met his eyes. "I just need to understand the tools first." "Time is limited," he said. "In the real world, understanding must be quick." He moved away to help another student. Hannah took a deep breath and began to work. She copied what she saw other students doing, learning as she went. By the end of class, her generator was only half built. Taze looked at it with a small smile. "As expected," he said, "humans lack the mental framework for true quantum engineering." The comment stung, but Hannah said nothing. That night, she stayed late in the practice lab, working on her generator until her fingers ached. Dojin found her there at midnight. "You should sleep," he said. "I need to finish this," Hannah replied. "I need to show him I can." Dojin sat beside her. "Let me help. 2 humans are better than 1. Together, they finished the generator just before dawn. When Hannah turned it on, a perfect quantum field appeared, a small bubble of altered space that glowed with soft light. "We did it," Dojin said with a tired smile. The next day, Hannah brought her completed generator to class. Taze raised an eyebrow when he saw it. "You finished it," he said, not quite a question. "Yes," Hannah said, "with some help." Taze tested her generator. It worked perfectly. "Interesting," he said, and moved on without another word. Over the next weeks, Hannah worked harder than ever before. She spent her days in classes and her nights studying. She learned to use the thought control technology and began to understand the complex physics the Drazel took for granted. One night, while working on a lab experiment about quantum wave patterns, she noticed something strange. The readings from her experiment didn't match what Taze's textbook said they should be. At first, she thought she had made a mistake. She ran the experiment again. The results were the same. The waves behaved differently than Taze's theory predicted. "That's odd," she said to herself. She looked more closely at the data. The difference was small but clear. According to Taze's math, quantum waves should always spread in a certain pattern. But in her experiment, they spread differently. Hannah checked everything 3 times. There was no mistake. She had discovered a flaw in Taze's theory. She almost ran to tell someone, but then stopped. Who would believe her? A human girl finding a mistake in the work of the great Taze. They would laugh at her. Hannah needed more proof. She began staying even later in the lab, running more tests. She found that the flaw only appeared when the quantum field was exposed to a magnetic field similar to Earth's. "This is why no one has noticed it before," she whispered to herself. "The Drazel homeworld has a different magnetic field." For 2 weeks, Hannah worked in secret. She gathered data, checked her math, and wrote everything down. The more she learned, the more certain she became. Taze's theory had a fundamental flaw. One night, Dojin found her in the lab again. "You need to sleep," he said, worried. "You've been here every night." Hannah looked up from her work, her eyes bright with discovery. "I found something, Dojin. Something important." She showed him her data. Dojin's eyes widened as he understood. This could change everything," he said. "You have to publish this." "Who would believe me?" Hannah asked. "They'll have to believe the data," Dojin replied. "Truth is truth, no matter who finds it." Hannah nodded slowly. "You're right. But I need to be sure, completely sure." "What will you do when you're sure?" Dojin asked. Hannah looked at her notes, where Taze's flawed equation was crossed out and her correction written below it. "I'll tell him," she said. "I'll show everyone." 3 days later, Taze was giving a lecture to the entire academy. All students sat in the great hall, watching as he explained his latest work on quantum field theory. His voice was calm and confident as he pointed to complex equations floating in the air. And so we see that quantum waves always follow this pattern, Taze said. This is the foundation of my work on dimensional stability. Hana sat near the back with Dojin and Juwu. Her heart was beating fast. In her hands, she held her tablet with all her research data. She had checked everything 10 times. There was no doubt now. Taze's theory was wrong when applied to Earth-like magnetic fields. Should I speak up? She whispered to Dojin. It's your discovery, he whispered back. But be careful. Hana took a deep breath. Before she could change her mind, she raised her hand. Taze paused, surprised to see a question from the back. Yes. Hana stood up. All eyes turned to her. I have a question about your wave pattern formula, she said, her voice clearer than she expected. Go ahead, Taze said, his tone slightly cold. I've been running experiments with Earth-like magnetic fields, Hana said. The quantum waves don't follow your predicted pattern in those conditions. A murmur ran through the crowd. Taze's eyes narrowed. That's impossible. My equations have been tested thousands of times. But not in Earth's specific magnetic field conditions, Hana said. She tapped her tablet, and her data appeared in the air beside Taze's equations. Look at these results. The hall went silent. Students and professors leaned forward to see. Taze studied the data, his face unreadable. These readings are unexpected, he finally said. But one set of anomalous data doesn't disprove a theory. I have run the experiment 53 times, Hana replied. The results are always the same. Professor Sorn stood up from the front row. This is a serious claim, human. You are suggesting that Taze's fundamental work has a flaw. Not a flaw, Hana said quickly. An exception. His theory works perfectly in most conditions, just not in Earth-like magnetic fields. Taze stared at her data for a long moment. The entire hall waited. Finally, he looked up at Hana. Your data is interesting, he said carefully, but there could be many explanations for these results. Hana felt her face grow hot. He was dismissing her discovery without even considering it properly. I challenge you to reproduce my experiment, she said, the words coming out before she could stop them. If you get the same results, then my discovery is real. The hall erupted in shocked whispers. No one had ever directly challenged Taz before, especially not a human. Taze's eyes flashed. You challenge me. Do you understand what you're doing? I understand that science is about truth, Hana said, not about who finds it. Professor Neri stood up. This is unprecedented, but intriguing. I propose a formal scientific debate. 1 month from today, Taze and the human student will present their findings on this matter. The academy director, an ancient Drassel with deep blue skin, nodded slowly. Agreed. This will be a valuable learning experience for all. News of the challenge spread quickly through the academy, and soon throughout the entire confederation. By evening, Hana's name was known everywhere. Some called her brave, others called her foolish. The human who challenged Taze. People whispered when she walked by. That night, a message appeared on her tablet. My private lab. Now. T. Hana went, her heart racing. Taz was waiting, his back to the door as he looked out at the stars. Why did you do this publicly? He asked without turning. You could have brought your data to me privately. Would you have listened? Hana asked. Taze turned to face her. For the first time, he didn't look arrogant, just curious. Perhaps not, he admitted. But now we are both committed to this debate. It will be broadcast across the Confederation. I'm not afraid of the truth, Hana said. Truth is rarely simple, Taze replied. Prepare well, human. I will not hold back. As Hana left, she realized something had changed. Taze had spoken to her almost as an equal. The challenge had begun. The academy gave Hana her own lab to prepare for the debate. It was small but had everything she needed. For the next 2 weeks, she worked day and night, running her experiments again and again. Dojin and Juwu helped when they could. Even Lux came by with food when Hana forgot to eat. You need to rest, Ju told her one night, "You won't help your case if you're too tired to think." But Hana couldn't rest. This was her one chance to prove herself, and to prove that humans belonged at the academy. Meanwhile, Taze was busy too. From her lab window, Hana could see lights on in his private tower at all hours. Was he trying to disprove her findings, or was he seeing the truth in them? One night, Hana was working late as usual. She was trying to understand exactly why Earth's magnetic field caused quantum waves to behave differently. It wasn't just the strength of the field, it was something more complex. As she stared at her data, a new thought came to her. Maybe the difference wasn't in the waves themselves. Maybe it was in how they were seen. What if this is about perception? She said to herself, what if Dressel brains process quantum information differently than human brains? She pulled up old studies about Dressel and human brain patterns. The differences were clear. Dressel minds excelled at pure math and structure. Human minds were better at seeing unexpected connections and adapting to change. "We're not seeing different results," Hana whispered as understanding dawned. "We're seeing the same results differently." She worked through the night, building a new model that showed how human and Dressel perceptions of quantum physics could both be right, just incomplete without each other. As morning approached, Hana decided to visit the Academy Observatory. She needed to clear her head and think about how to present her discovery. The observatory was a huge dome at the top of the Academy. Its ceiling was a perfect window to space, showing stars and planets in stunning clarity. To her surprise, someone else was already there. Taze stood in the center of the room, looking up at the stars. He turned when he heard her enter. "I didn't expect anyone else to be here," he said. "I can go," Hana offered. "No, stay." Taze gestured to the sky. "The stars look the same to both of us. At least." They stood in silence for a moment. Then Taze spoke again. "I have reviewed your data," he said. "Your experiments are sound." Hana looked at him in surprise. "You've reproduced my results." Taze nodded slowly. "Yes, the wave patterns do change under Earth-like conditions. I've been trying to understand why." "I think I know," Hana said. She hesitated, then decided to share her theory. "It's about perception. Our brains process quantum data differently." Taze looked thoughtful. "Show me." Hana used her tablet to display her new model. Taze studied it carefully, his eyes moving quickly over the equations. "This is unexpected," he said finally. "You're suggesting that both our models are correct, but incomplete." "Yes," Hana said. "Together, they make a more complete picture of reality." Taz was quiet for a long time. Then he said something that shocked her. "My people believe that the Dressel mind is superior," he said. "That our way of seeing the universe is the only correct one. I have always believed this too." "And now?" Hana asked. Taze looked up at the stars again. "Now I'm not sure. If your theory is right, then we need different perspectives to see the whole truth. That's why the Academy should have students from all species," Hana said. "Not just as a show of inclusion, but because we need each other's minds." The first light of a distant sun touched the observatory dome, casting a golden glow. "The debate is in 2 weeks, Taze said. "What will you do?" "Present my findings," Hana replied. "The truth is what matters." Taze nodded. "Good luck, Hana. I believe you will need it. Not everyone is ready to hear that their view of the universe is incomplete." As Taz left, Hana realized it was the first time he had used her name. The day of the debate arrived. The great hall was filled with students, professors, and visitors from across the Confederation. Floating cameras broadcast the event to billions of beings on thousands of worlds. Hana stood backstage, trying to calm her racing heart. Her parents had sent a message that morning, their first since she left Earth. "We are proud of you," it said, "no matter what happens." Dojin squeezed her shoulder. "You're ready for this." Ju handed her a small blue stone. "For luck," she said. "It's from Earth." On the other side of the stage, Hannah could see Taz with his Drazel supporters. He looked calm and focused. When he saw her looking, he gave a small nod. The Academy director stepped onto the stage. Today we witness a historic scientific debate between Professor Taz of the Drazel Science Council and human student Lee Hannah. The topic: quantum wave behavior in varied magnetic fields. Taz went first. He walked to the center of the stage and, with a wave of his hand, created a beautiful model of quantum waves. His voice was clear and strong as he explained his theory, how quantum waves should behave according to his equations. This model has served as the foundation for much of our recent technology, he said. It has been tested in thousands of conditions across the Confederation. Then he paused. However, recent experiments have shown unexpected results in Earth-like magnetic fields. A murmur ran through the crowd. Taz was acknowledging Hannah's discovery. When it was Hannah's turn, she walked onto the stage with her tablet. Her first touch was clumsy, and the model she created flickered before stabilizing. She heard a few laughs from the audience. As Professor Taz has shown, quantum waves follow his model in most conditions, she began. Her voice shook slightly, then grew stronger. But in Earth's magnetic field, they behave differently. I have run this experiment 58 times now. The results are always the same. She showed her data, explaining each step clearly. The audience was silent, watching closely. The question is why? Hannah continued. Why do quantum waves appear to follow different rules in Earth's magnetic field? After much research, I believe I have found the answer. She brought up her new model showing how Drazel and human perception affected quantum observations. It's not that the waves behave differently, she explained. It's that we see them differently. The Drazel brain and the human brain process quantum information in unique ways. Neither is wrong. Both are incomplete. The hall was completely silent now. Everyone was trying to understand what this meant. I propose a new unified theory, Hannah said. One that combines both perspectives to create a more complete picture of quantum reality. She showed the full equations for her new theory. They were complex but elegant, combining Taz's work with her new insights. When she finished, there was no applause, just thoughtful silence. This was too important for simple celebration. The director turned to Taz. Professor, your response. Taz walked back to the center of the stage. Everyone expected him to argue against Hannah's theory, to defend his work. Instead, he surprised them all. I have spent the past month attempting to disprove student Lee's findings, he said. I have failed to do so. Her data is correct. Her experiments are sound. He paused, looking out at the shocked faces. More importantly, her interpretation is brilliant. She has seen what I could not, that our understanding of quantum physics has been limited by our Drazel perspective. Taz turned to Hannah. With your permission, I would like to build upon your work. He held out his hand. Hannah stepped forward and took it. Together, they created a new model that combined both their work. It was more beautiful and complete than either of their separate models. This, Taz said, is the Lee-Taz theorem of perceptual quantum dynamics. It will change how we understand the universe. The hall erupted in excited talk. Professors were already discussing the implications. Students were taking notes frantically. The director raised his hands for quiet. This is not the end of a debate, he said. This is the beginning of a new field of study. Thank you both. As they left the stage, Taz leaned close to Hannah. You have done something remarkable today, he said quietly. You have made the Drazel think differently. That has not happened in a very long time. Hannah smiled. We made each other think differently. That's how science should work. The day after the debate, everything changed for Hannah. As she walked through the academy halls, students and professors stopped to talk to her. Some wanted to ask questions about her theory. Others just wanted to meet the human who had challenged Taz and changed science. Lee Hannah, a voice called as she headed to her morning class. She turned to see Professor Neri. The director wants to see you. Hannah followed Nari to the director's office at the top of the academy's main tower. The room had a view of space on all sides, as if they were floating among the stars. "Ah, Student Lee," the director said. "Please sit." Hannah sat across from him, feeling small in a large room. "Your debate with Professor Taze has caused quite a stir," the director said. "We have received messages from every corner of the Confederation. Many are excited about your new theory. Others are concerned." "Concerned?" Hannah asked. The director nodded slowly. "Some Drazel believe your theory threatens their position. They don't like the idea that human perception might be valuable in understanding the universe." "But Taze agreed with me," Hannah said. "Yes, and that has made things more complicated for him," the director replied. "Some are calling him a traitor to Drazel thinking." Hannah hadn't thought about this. She hadn't meant to cause trouble for Taze. "There's more," the director continued. "Some human groups are using your success to push for more rights. They call you a hero of humanity." "I'm not a hero," Hannah said. "I'm just a scientist." "Sometimes science changes more than knowledge," the director said. "It changes how people see themselves and others." As Hannah left the director's office, she found Dojin waiting for her. "Have you seen the news?" he asked, showing her his tablet. The screen showed images of celebrations on Earth. People were holding pictures of Hannah and signs saying, "Humans are equal." "They're calling you the human who beat the Drazel," Dojin said. "But I didn't beat anyone," Hannah said. "Taz and I worked together in the end." Later that day, Hannah went to the library to study. She found a quiet corner away from the other students. But soon, a group of Drazel students approached her. "You must be pleased with yourself," one said coldly. "You've made quite a name for yourself." "I was just doing science," Hannah replied. "You've caused problems for Professor Taze," another said. "His position on the Science Council is now in question." Hannah felt a cold weight in her stomach. She hadn't wanted that. As the Drazel students left, Hannah noticed Taze standing nearby. He had heard everything. "Is it true?" she asked as he approached. "Are you in trouble because of me?" Taze sat beside her. "Not because of you, because of those who fear change." "I'm sorry," Hannah said. "Don't be," Taze replied. "You were right. That's what matters in science." They sat in silence for a moment. "What happens now?" Hannah asked. "Now we face the consequences of discovery," Taze said. "All new ideas face resistance, but they cannot be unlearned." That evening, Hannah received a message from Earth. It was from a group called Humans First. They wanted her to speak against Drazel influence on Earth. "You've proven humans are better than them," the message said. "Join us in pushing them off our world." Hannah deleted the message immediately. That wasn't what her work meant at all. The next day, she saw Taz in the dining hall. He was sitting alone. The other Drazel students were keeping their distance. Without thinking, Hannah walked over and sat across from him. "You don't have to do this," Taze said. "Being seen with me won't help you now." "I'm not doing it to help myself," Hannah replied. "Friends sit together." Taze looked surprised. Then he smiled slightly. "Is that what we are now? Friends?" "I think so," Hannah said. "Unless you still think I'm just statistical noise." "No," Taze said. "You are a very loud noise indeed, and I'm glad the Confederation is finally hearing it." As they talked, other students began to watch. Some looked angry. Others seemed curious. But Hannah didn't care. She knew now that science wasn't about who was right or wrong. It was about finding truth together. And no one, not even the most brilliant Drazel, could find all the truth alone. 6 months had passed since the debate. The Academy was hosting a grand event, the first interspecies scientific conference on perceptual quantum dynamics. Scientists from all corners of the Confederation had come to learn about the Lee-Tez theorem. Hannah stood at the window of her new quarters, looking out at the ships arriving. She wore a special blue uniform that marked her as a presenter at the conference. "Nervous?" Dojin asked as he entered. A little, Hannah admitted. 6 months ago, I was just trying to pass Taz's class. Now we're presenting a new field of science together. Much had changed in those 6 months. After their theory was published, research teams across the Confederation began testing it. Every test confirmed what Hannah and Taz had discovered. Different species truly did perceive quantum reality in unique and valuable ways. New technology was already being developed based on their work. Devices that could switch between different perceptual frameworks were showing amazing results. It's almost time, Dojin said. Taz is waiting at the hall. Hannah found Taz outside the great conference hall. He looked different now, less rigid, more open. Working together had changed them both. Ready? He asked. As ready as I'll ever be, Hannah replied. They entered the hall together. It was filled with beings from dozens of species, all talking excitedly in different languages. When Hannah and Taz appeared, the room fell silent, then erupted in applause. The director welcomed everyone, then invited Hannah and Taz to the stage. As they walked up, Hannah saw her parents in the front row. They had finally come to see her work. Next to them sat Juwu and Lox, both smiling proudly. 6 months ago, Taz began, I stood on this stage, certain that I understood how quantum waves behaved. I was wrong. He gestured to Hannah. Student Lee showed me that understanding comes not just from one perspective, but from many. Today, we will show you how combining different perceptual frameworks creates a more complete picture of reality. Hannah stepped forward. The Lee-Taz theorem isn't just about quantum waves, she said. It's about how we see the universe. Each species brings something unique and valuable to science. Together, they presented their work. The hall was silent as everyone watched the models they created. Beautiful, complex patterns that shifted between Drazel, human, and other perceptual frameworks. As you can see, Taz said, when we combine these different ways of seeing, we discover more than any one species could alone. After the presentation, scientists rushed forward with questions. Hannah and Taz answered them together, building on each other's words as if they had worked together for years. Later, at the reception, the director approached Hannah with a small box. The Science Council has been watching your work closely, he said. They have something to offer you. Inside the box was a small silver pin shaped like a star. Hannah recognized it immediately. The mark of the Deep Space Research Initiative, the most prestigious scientific mission in the Confederation. They want you to join the mission to the galactic core, the director said. No human has ever been invited before. Hannah looked up in shock. Me. You and Taz, the director said, as a team. Taz appeared beside them. I told them I would only go if you were invited too, he said. We need both perspectives for the mission to succeed. That night, Hannah stood on the observation deck, looking out at the stars. The galaxy core glowed in the distance, bright, mysterious, and waiting to be explored. Taz joined her at the window. What are you thinking about? He asked. About how far we've come, Hannah said, and how far we still have to go. The Confederation is changing, Taz said. Slowly, but it is changing. Species are being valued for their unique perspectives. Your challenge started that. Our challenge, Hannah corrected him. I couldn't have done it alone. They stood together in comfortable silence, looking at the stars. Do you think we'll find new things out there? Hannah asked. Things no one has seen before. I'm certain of it, Taz replied. But we'll see them differently, you and I. And together, we'll see more than either of us could alone. Hannah smiled. She had come so far from that small apartment in New Seoul. She had been just a human girl with a dream of reaching the stars. Now she was going beyond them, to places no human had ever been. And she was no longer going as just a human, or Taz as just a Drazel. They were going as scientists, as friends, as partners in discovery. The stars waited for them, full of mysteries that would take all kinds of minds to understand.